Texas Adventures with Brexton. A Hey Mama presentation presents George Arnold, author, and my friend. 3 wonderful stories I thought you might like to hear.
But you and I never got into anything that wasn't absolutely squeaky clean. I was thinking about the fact that you and I are more like brothers than just friends. And even brothers from time to time get annoyed with one another to the point they want to just punch the other one right in the snoot. I was remembering the time when we were going to work at the Varsity Theater while we were in high school, our usual 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. shift. And somehow during the day I had provoked you and just continued to provoke you, and I have no idea why. But by the time we got to the usher's dressing room upstairs, I had gone a little too far. And we got into the dressing room, and you took a swing at me, and I took a swing back. You proceeded to jam my head through the wall between the projection room and the usher's dressing room, caught right in the sheetrock. And about that time, George Pratt, our favorite assistant manager, stuck his head in the door and he said, "What in the Sam Hill is going on in here?" And he said, you guys are get dressed. And you grabbed the broom, I remember, and started hitting the floor with it, doing a little clog dance, making a whole lot more racket than we'd made before. And you said to him, "George, what does it look like we're doing?" "We're tap dancing." And he bought it. He just like it was absolute gospel truth. And so he said, "Get dressed, you've got to be on the floor in 5 minutes." Well, I got to laughing so hard. And then you started laughing. And you realized my head was stuck in the wall. And you reached over and pulled me out of the wall. And I fell in a heap right on top of you, and we were both laughing. We couldn't remember what we were even laughing about. And as we got up the next day, we did get dressed, we did go to work, and neither one of us could think of why we started arguing to begin with. The next day, Don at school came up to me and he said, "Do you remember why we were arguing last night?" And I said, "No, I can't remember." But I tell you what, Don, I did remember after all these years, and I'll be coming to see you pretty soon, and when I get there, I'll tell you why. How long?
George Arnold, an author in Garland, Texas. 26 books under his belt, first book at age 60. And yes, I can call him my friend. Here's part 2.
We're going to take a look now at chapter 35 of a manuscript of a book that's the second in a trilogy about the Navajo in Arizona and New Mexico, and the problems they're having with 524 abandoned uranium mines on the reservation, which creating a lot of healthcare problems for the Navajo. The title of this chapter is P.J. Wilson Construction, 8 minutes late. After the business with Brexton Collins had been completed, Sarah Benally once again sat down in the Navajo Nation Inn, this time with Barbara Flowers. They had, by telephone, invited Mr. Wilson to meet them at 3 o'clock. The call had come from Ms. Flowers' office to a secretary at the Wilson Company, nearby Gallup, 26 miles to the southeast. The two of them had only heard verbal accounts of the appeals and demands when Wilson's bid was $19,500 lower than the winning bidder, but had been ruled 8 minutes past the deadline. So they were both surprised when a middle-aged blonde walked up and announced, "I'm P.J. Wilson. Is one of you Barbara Flowers?" At once she saw surprise on the two faces and said, "You were expecting some grouchy old bastard with a chewing tobacco spit in his scruffy beard, I can tell." "Don't be concerned," she went on. "I'm used to it. Most of my contact with clients and vendors, even suppliers, is by mail or email. So I assume most of them think P.J. Wilson stands up to P. Wouldn't even think of trying that myself. So relax, I'm P.J. in the flesh. What can I do for you?" Sarah once again started the conversation. "Thanks for taking the time to meet with us. And I'm Sarah Benally with the Navajo Nation Police, and this is Barbara Flowers with the EPA in New Mexico. May we call you P.J.? "That's who I am. Why'd you ask me here this afternoon?" Barbara Flowers said, "We understand you're pretty upset with the EPA after losing a bid to a higher bidder on a technicality. What we're trying to find out is just how mad at them are you and what you intend to do about it." Wilson chuckled. "Well, it was my own damn fault. Our bid was ready in plenty of time. Days early, as a matter of fact. The day the bids were due, I just returned late the night before from California. Guess what? My priceless little Timex was still on Pacific time. I believed I beat the deadline by 52 minutes. I realized my mistake at once, but I never thought 8 minutes would make a difference." She paused to take a breath and then went on, "I wasn't that angry even at being eliminated on what I thought was an insignificant and bureaucratic bullshit rule until I heard the winning bid's cost. My bid was $365,000 even. The winning bid, and I use that term in jest, turned out to be $366,950. So whose cost is pissing away $1,950? The U.S. taxpayer. I know that's not much compared to the entire country's budget, but it was 1/10 of 1% of this one job. If you took 1/10 of 1% off the total U.S. budget, you're talking about a few $billion saved." Smith and Barbara remained quiet, letting Ms. Wilson talk. "I got up on my high horse, I raised a little hell and filed a pissant suit, all just to make a point. It was a matter of principle with me. Silly-ass bureaucrats and their gotchas. They couldn't run a business like mine, but they love to act superior. They're just really jealous." "Thank you for that fascinating story," Barbara Flowers said, adding, "We've taken up enough of your time today. It's been a true pleasure to meet you." P.J. Wilson, looking a bit peevish, said, "I just blabbered away here. You didn't ask me to come here to unburden my story. What did I miss, please?" Sarah said, "We're investigating a series of bombings of recently decontaminated uranium mines. Your lawsuit came to our attention as representing someone who might just be angry enough at the EPA to strike back. So let me just ask you, did you set off 3 big bombs in 3 formerly contaminated uranium mines in the past week?" P.J. Wilson was unable to control her response. She burst into raucous laughter and seemed unable to stop. Uncontrolled laughter being infectious, soon Sarah and Barbara joined in. Their waitress, returning with coffee refills, thought, "Damn, I'm sorry I missed that joke."
George Arnold, author in Garland, Texas. 26 books under his belt. First book at age 60. And I can call him my friend. Awesome.
We're going to take a look right now at chapter 34 of a manuscript for the second book in a trilogy about the Navajo Indians in Arizona and New Mexico and the trauma they're facing with 524 abandoned uranium mines on their reservation. It's causing all kind of health problems. In this chapter, I've taken my friend Brexton Collins and have used him as one of the characters. So the title of this chapter is Braxton Collins, Angry Man. Ed Sams and Sarah Benally welcome a somewhat confused Braxton Collins, former, recently fired EPA explosives expert, into the coffee shop of the Navajo Nation Inn in Window Rock in Arizona. Central Casting would have decided Collins was a dead ringer for a gold rush miner, or Gabby Hayes maybe. With a long, tangled, gold-tinged, unruly beard and gray-white hair, Collins struck a pose one would not likely soon forget. "We appreciate your willingness to talk to us this morning, Mr. Collins," Sarah said. "Let's get you some coffee. We just need a few minutes of your time." "I'm Sergeant Sarah Benally from the Navajo National Police here in Window Rock, and my associate here is Ed Sams. He's head of the EPA in Arizona." Collins at once looked startled and started to get up from his seat. "I'm not talking to anybody from the EPA. These people are nothing but jokes, in my opinion. Got nothing to say. Period." Sarah said, "Mr. Collins, your feelings about the EPA are the reason we need to talk this morning. You really dislike them, I think. Is that correct? And maybe even hate them? We'd like to know how much. Will you share your feelings with us this morning?" Collins said, "I'll tell you I hate them, and I'll tell you the world that much, but why I hate them is none of your business." Sarah said, "Your hating them may be our business. How much you hate them may be our business, but we really don't particularly care why. That's between you and them." Collins, more annoyed by the second, said, "Can we just get to the damn point? Why am I here? Am I under arrest? Am I being detained? What is it that you want from me?" Ed Sams, quiet until now, spoke up. "Mr. Collins, somebody hates the EPA enough to begin blowing up with large explosive charges mines that have been cleaned of excess radioactive materials. 3 such mines to date have suffered massive explosions. At first we thought the bomber used dynamite alone. Since then, there's been time for a bit more investigation, and it appears a combination of dynamite and C4 plastics made up the explosives." Collins interrupted. "Let me finish for you. Braxton Collins is an expert with explosives, and Braxton Collins is known to be very angry with the EPA for firing him because they don't know real safety precautions from a living on the rooftop of a hen house beneath a full moon on Halloween. Vince Braxton Collins is a likely suspect in bombing of the EPA-related properties." "That's pretty lame, folks," Collins continued. "Let me say categorically that I am not your bomber. And let me help you put that subject of Braxton Collins as a criminal of any kind behind us by submitting to one of your lie detector tests. Polygraph, I think it's called. Set it up today, this afternoon. Let's get this bullshit done with today," Collins insisted. Sergeant Benally said, That would be great. Meet me at the local Navajo National Police office right down the street at 1 o'clock this afternoon, and as you suggested, let's get this BS done with today. And thank you, sir, for helping us." Collins, now gone, Sams asked Benally, "What do you think? Is he our bomber?" "No," she said, "but every suspect we can clear brings us closer to a solution. If we can eliminate him quickly with the polygraph, good for us." "Got time for one more refill?" A waitress in Navajo clothing and the typical bun in her hair asked. "Sure, why not?" Sarah said. By 2:30 that afternoon, they thanked Braxton Collins for coming in. He was not their bomber.